Om Akyanati Manasya Chanansana Shnaka Sakshurmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Samyavadi Praspachanti Satarim Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Samyavadi Praspachanti Satarim. So we are midway this chapter 6 of the first canto, conversation between Narad and Vyasadeva. Narada Muni is telling Vyasadeva the story of his previous life, how he attained liberation and how he got his spiritual body. And he told him that after hearing from the Bhakti Vedantas, then they left after the Chaturmasya, and he was alone with his mother. His mother was very attached to him, but then one night she went in the middle of the night to milk a cow and was bitten by a cobra, and she left her body. After performing the last rites, then little Narada, 5-6 years old, was leaving for the north. And he traveled to so many countries, and we have heard verses describing what he saw. He saw mines, schools, industries, forests, dangerous animals. But he was not interested in them. He just wanted to chant the holy names and feel Krishna in heart. Then at a certain moment, he was feeling very exhausted, hungry, thirsty, and he came out a pond of water, and he took a bath and drank fresh water, and he felt refreshed. And he was sitting under a pipala tree, a banyan tree, and following the instructions of the sages, he was meditating and chanting the holy name. And at that moment, suddenly, the Lord appeared in his heart. And it was like all the senses of his body became separately enlivened. It was a great ecstatic moment. But then suddenly, he was swimming in this ecstasy, and suddenly the Lord disappeared. And he tried to again follow these instructions. He tried again to follow these instructions of the sages, but he could not get the Lord's darshan in the heart again. So therefore, but then we have this verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Dhyamudirayat Nastvaya Sabhatyasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavatu Tamasvake Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. So, Evam yatam tam vishyane Mamaha Gochara Giram Gambira Slakshnaya Vacha Sucha Pasha Mayaniva. But for word translation, Evam thus Yatatam, one who is engaged in attempting Vichane in that lowly place, Man unto me, Aha, said Agochara, beyond the range of physical sound, Hiram utterances, Gambira grave, Slakshnaya pleasing to hear, Batsha words, Shutsha grief, Vasamayam mitigating, Eva like. Translation. Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words, just to mitigate my grief. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And yet, by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak to him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. Once upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with Narada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulated devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love with God, he feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. I read the verse once again. We will read also the next verse after discussing here. Evam yatantam vichane mam aha gochara kiram Gambira slakshnaya vacha sucha prasamayam niva. Seeing my attempt in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. So the Lord can appear and disappear to us out of his own sweet will, but is not obliged to appear. It's his own will. Like if we look at the president will have no problem if he wants to come to see you. But if you want to see the president, that's not so easy. That may not be possible even. But so for Krishna to appear in your heart to reveal himself, there is no difficulty for him. But we cannot force it. That, of course, that the Lord was pleased because Narada in the previous life was performing sadhana, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, because of his attempts to perform this sadhana bhakti, and following the instructions of these sages, these Bhaktivedantas, the Lord was pleased and revealed himself. Normally, the stage where the Lord reveals himself in the heart of the devotee is called Ashakti. Ashakti is a very high stage of devotional service, which is after liberation. Come to Asakti, one must first come to liberation. Liberation is attained when the heart is completely pure from all sinful reactions. That one has finished anartha-nivritti, the cleansing of the heart. Because to come in contact with the Lord, that one must be as pure as the Lord. That the same purity. That's so. This is difficult for us because, especially in this age and today, we live in an atmosphere of Raja Guna and Tamaguna, the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. That in the mode of passion, we think we are the body. And we strive for sense gratification. And Tamaguna, this intoxication, sinful life. That so yes, this is everywhere today, everywhere surrounding us. So very difficult to perform Krishna Bhakti in an atmosphere of Rajaguna, Tamaguna, that but yes, if we start to hear and we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, then really this devotional service will purify us. Therefore, we say before the Bhagavatam, Nasta Prayesa Bhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavata Tamaskri Bhakti Bhavata Naistiki. By regular attendance of the class of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is nearly completely destroyed. Nearly. What does this nearly mean? That nearly means the mode of passion and ignorance has gone, and the mode of goodness is still there. It's also a contamination. So nearly that Torajastamova Kamalobhasaya Satisatera Teranaptam Stitve Sattva Prashidati. That so by this hearing and serving, hearing about Krishna, like we do now, and service to the spiritual master, so this passion and ignorance becomes destroyed and one comes to goodness. That destruction of the mode of passion and ignorance is a process that may take many years. before one comes to complete purification. That it depends on the Tivrena Bhakti-yogina, the intensity of your devotion service. But when because this passion and ignorance makes us suffer. Passion means desires. Is the desires for material enjoyment. Just by having the desire, your suffering starts already. That it's just. But then to come to the complete purification of the heart, that takes a while. And what's a symptom when you come to complete purification? Of course, no material desires. That's a high point. But yes, the symptom is evam pranasya manasya. Evam pranasya manasya. The mind becomes completely peaceful. You see, that's very rare in this world. In 110, Sutta Goswami said one of the characteristics of everyone in this age is upadrutaha, always disturbed. Mind is so disturbed that, of course, if one becomes peaceful and there are no material desires anymore, then by following the four regulative principles strictly, you have the power to observe your mind, even to distantiate yourself from the mind. So that if the mind is disturbed, are we disturbed? That if we think we are the mind, we are. But if you can distantiate yourself from the mind, observe it, and tolerate it, then it's not a big thing. But that is just as evam panasya manasa becomes completely peaceful. And that's nishta, liberation. The process of anartha-nivritti has ended. That means that one does not take birth again. High stage. This is the platform where the madhyamadhikara begins. That's before you are a kanishta. Kanishta means not liberated. That even 93% pure, you are still a kanishta. It's a big that to come to the madhyam platform. Of course, we can act as a madhyam, as a liberated person, by using our body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. Thus, acting as a madhyama, as a liberated person, that does not mean we are on that level. So that's the first level of realization, which is blissful. It's blissful if it's attained, that steadiness in devotional service in connection with Krishna. Because this is factual Brahman realization. The real Brahman realization by devotees. Impersonalists, they don't have real Brahman realization. Because they don't experience the bliss, they are just peaceful. And that to feel the bliss in devotional service must be connected with Krishna. And in that state, Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha. Then, yes, you start to understand the signs of devotional service. It becomes all obvious. Then, Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. You get realized knowledge. You have realized I'm not this body. My identity is spiritual, different from this body. And that means Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Then you have attained liberation. But the experience here by little Narada is far beyond that. Beyond that. But Narada was not yet on that platform. His heart, there were still impurities in his heart. Although he became good advanced by his sadhana, he didn't attain yet this platform of liberation and beyond. So there were still impurities. But still, the Lord appeared to him, and then he disappeared. Why did that happen? Why did he appear and disappear? That's explained in the next verse. We will also read the next verse and then come back. Antasmin janmani bhavan namam drashtum nidarati avipakva kasayanam tudakshaham kuyoginam. Anta, O Narada, asmin, this janmani, duration of life, bhavan, yourself, ma, not mam, me, drastum, to see, iha, here, arati, deserve, avipakva, immature, kasayanam, material dirt, to daksha, difficult to be seen, aham, I, kuyoginam, incomplete in service. Translation, O Narada, the Lord regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. Kuyoginam, incomplete in service, not completely pure. And that, so it was an extraordinary mercy that the Lord gave to little Narada to inspire him. And the purpose, every line is so deep here. I read the translation again. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not complete, free from all taints, can hardly see me. The personality of God is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the most pure, the supreme and the absolute truth. There is no trace of a tinge of materiality in his person, and thus one who has a slight tinge of material affection cannot approach him. The beginning of a devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the modes of passion and the modes of ignorance. The result is exhibited by the signs of being freed from calm, lust, and lobha, covetousness. That is to say, one must be free from the desires for sense satisfaction and avarice for sense gratification. The balanced modes of nature is goodness. And to be completely free from all tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is considered to be the mode of goodness. One can go out into the forest and attain spiritual perfection, but that does not mean that he can see the Lord personally there. One must be completely free from all attachment and be situated on the plane of transcendence, which alone help the devotee get in personal touch with the personality of Godhead. The best method is that one should live at a place where the transcendental form of the Lord is worshipped. The place of the Lord is a transcendental place, whereas the forest is a materially good habitation. A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord, Archana, rather than going to the forest to search out the Lord. Devotional service begins from the process of Archana, which is better than going out in the forest. In his present life, which is completely freed from all material hankerings, Sri Narada does not go into the forest, although he can turn every place into Vaikuntha by his presence only. He travels from one planet to another to convert men, gods, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, Rishis, Munis, and all others to become devotees of the Lord. By his activities, he has engaged many devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many others in the transcendental service of the Lord. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, follows in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Prahlad, and engages his whole time in glorifying the Lord by the process of kirtan. Such a process is transcendental to all material qualities. So, Narada, in his previous life, he started with, Shraddha. By hearing from these Bhaktivedantas, he got some faith in what they were saying. And then Sadhu Sangha, he heard from them the Bhagavatam and how to practice bhakti. And then he started to practice bhakti. They instructed him. And that's bhajana kriya. And soon he attained steady in this bhajana kriya. And anartha nivritti started to take place, the purification of the heart. Because he was very sincere, it went quite quick in the beginning. That was, although he was a boy of 5-6 years, he became sober and so on. But then, like I said, if this anartha-nivritti has ended, then after 40-50 year practice or a few lifetimes, we come to the point of nishtha, liberation. And then nishtha, if one hears, if the heart is pure, or nearly pure, then one becomes attracted, ruchi, and goes to the next stage, ruchi. And if that attraction becomes very, very deep and dense, that attraction, then Ashakti, then the Lord appears in the heart. The Lord is in the heart, but because the coverings are removed, we can feel His presence, we can see Him in our heart transcendentally. And that's called Ashakti. Now, I have here Madhurya Kadambini, which speaks about this Asakti. Asakti, Srila Prabhupada said, well, it's Paramatma realization. So there are 3 stages of realization in transcendence. And we should always remember this 3 stages. Vedanta Tatvavitas Tatvam Jnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan Iti Sapyate. 3 stages that the learned transcendentalists, they have concluded that the absolute truth has 3 aspects. The Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman, we said, is realization is Nistha. Is the heart becomes clean. Nistha. That and when heart becomes clean, yeah, one realizes I'm not this body. One realizes I'm a spirit soul. That is the first step. And the second step is this Paramatma realization. If one becomes attracted, ruchi is like a magnet. We only desire to think about Krishna anymore. No interest in anything else. We see Krishna everywhere in the heart. So yes, one sees Krishna. And then, suddenly, the Lord starts to reveal himself within the heart. That is Asakti. Srila Prabhupada said, Asakti is transcendental television. We can see Krishna in the spiritual world in our heart every moment. But now we said our television set is broken, and we need to repair it. So here in the nectar, in Madhurya Kadambini, Ashakti is described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It says, Ashakti polishes the mirror of the heart to such a condition that the reflection of the Lord may suddenly be visible there. Because of the states of Sakti, the devotee, realizing that his mind has been overpowered by material objects and desires, after putting forth deliberate effort, he draws his mind and fixes it on the Lord's form, on his form, qualities, and activities. In the states of Asakti, however, absorption of the mind in the Lord is automatic, without effort. You want to think of Krishna in the heart. You feel Krishna's presence in the heart. You see him in the heart. Of course, it's not just seeing. Asakti means he appears out of his own mercy. This process of devotional service is mercy, a process of mercy. The anarthanivritti, the purification of the heart, will only take place if we get the mercy of Krishna, of the spiritual master and Krishna. That it's by their mercy that we can break this vicious circle, because we want to purify our heart, but because of the anarthas we make offenses and we can't overcome it. But it's by the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna that we can overcome it in due course of time. But from the stage of Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Vajnakriya, Anarthanivritti, these first 4 stages, it's sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti, nectar of devotion. A reminder, what is sadhana bhakti? Sadhana bhakti means that one performs devotion, regulated devotional service, follows the regulations of devotional service, and the impetus is the order of the spiritual master. The order of the spiritual master is you chant 16 rounds, you follow the four regulative principles. That's the impetus of the spiritual master. But once one comes over Nishta, one continues to follow, but then it's purely the mercy. It's purely mercy. You cannot force your spiritual advancement after Nishta. It's pure mercy after that. Before you can do sadhana and try to please the spiritual master and so on. But above, it's up to Krishna to reveal himself. That it's the entire process is a process of mercy. But then Ashakti, in Nectar of Instruction, text 8 there, it's this first text 8, Nectar of Instruction, is about one should chant these holy names of Krishna, these sweet nectarian names of Krishna, 24 hours a day. That it's text 8. That if I find here Sritanya Shaitamrita, and then you have Isopanishad, Upatishamrita, text 8 here. Tanama Rupa Sharitati Sukirtanano, Smityo Kramena Rasanama Nasani Choja, Tistamba Cheta Danaragi Chananugami, Kalamnayata Kalam it Upesha Salam. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby healthily engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraj, Goloka, Vrindavan, Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So here, yes, that one should chant his holy names 24 hours a day and hear about Krishna. That and yeah, And then in your mind, you should recite in Vraj. That's interesting. In our mind, we should be in Vraj. And don't come back to this material world. That's the point. But you can only do that if you become attached to Krishna by hearing that. This morning I was reading chapter 3 of Gopal Champu from Shiva Goswami. It's so beautiful. This is the Vraj pastimes that Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis left us so many books also that we can absorb ourselves and recite with our mind in Vraj. That following the footsteps of the Lord's devotees means, we should nicely chant and remember the Lord's divine form, name, and so on. Remember Krishna. But that remembrance of Krishna, while chanting, you cannot force that. If you chant with love, it's easy. But to have that love is rare. But Srila Prabhupada in the purport of this Nectar of Instruction text 8 says, yes, 5 stages of Smarana Vasta, of remembering the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada explains in a lecture about this verse of Nectar of Instruction, and he says, yes, in the beginning we chant Hare Krishna, and sometimes we think of Krishna, sometimes not. But then a time will come that when we become purified, and then we become purified, the time that we think of Krishna becomes longer, and the times we forget for Krishna becomes shorter. And then when you come to Nishta, you chant Hare Krishna, and you remember Krishna always. Then you become greatly attracted to Krishna in the chanting. Ruchi and a feeling come, a devotional feeling of attraction. That and the remembrance cannot be broken, is continually. And then the Lord starts to reveal himself. And Srila Prabhupada said, first the Lord will, and that's a sequence mentioned here also, the Lord will reveal to you in your heart his transcendental form, his beautiful form, you will see his smile, his curling hair, and then after that, you will see the Lord is in a place. In the heart, you will see Krishna is there, but also the peacocks of Vrindavan. You see the Holy Land, and you see devotees. And finally, you enter his Aprakat Lila, his non-manifested pastimes within the heart. And then one comes to Bhava, preliminary states of love of God. So that is extraordinary. But if the heart is not purified, you cannot have that. And here you have little Narada, the Lord gives him a preview of that experience. And he appears in his heart. But only for a short time, to encourage him. So we may also experience that in the beginning of devotional service, that we have sometimes such an experience, that an extraordinary experience that you can't forget. And this is not the only case which is mentioned in the Bible of such experience. There are other experiences described. Maharaj Pariksit saw the Lord in the womb of his mother, that when he was in the embryo, the Lord protected him, and he had this transcendental experience in the womb. That's extraordinary. And then another experience was, of course, Ajamil, his near-death experience. And then in his near-death experience, he saw these Vishnudutas. They had the same form as Krishna, and he could not forget them. And it inspired him so much to come again to that stage. And here, the Lord does the same thing. He said, yes, I've done this to inspire you. But you will hear in the next verse, he will say, you will not see me in this lifetime anymore. But yes, in this lifetime, he will attain the perfection and get his spiritual body. So that is also extraordinary. In the purport also, we have heard a few things. These great kings like Bharat, and others, they went to the forest to meditate because the forest is in goodness. But in goodness, you cannot see the Lord. Well, one must come to transcendence. Mamsyo vyavicharana bhaktiyorguna sevite saktan samatichitam brahmavuya kalpate. One must transcend the modes of nature by devotional service. So if we perform pure devotional service, we transcend immediately. Does not mean that you can immediately see the Lord. But your devotional service is transcendental. And you will see the Lord when the heart is purified. Cheto darpanamarjanam. Lodgetang is it. Bhavama. Bhavama divagni nirvapana. Yeah. One cleanses the mirror of the heart. If the mirror is cleansed, you can see yourself. And that's also what is described in the beginning by Sutta Goswami. And we spoke about Evam Panishan, Manasa, Bhagavat Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavat Tattva Vishyanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate, that's the platform of liberation. Platform of liberation, Vidyate Hridayekantis, that Vidyate, the heart knot of attachment to things in this world, is pierced within the heart. Sityante sarva samsaya. Then all your doubts are gone. Your fear is gone. You know, I'm not this body. I'm eternal. I'm an eternal spirit soul. I'm not this mind. I don't need this mind. If I revive my spiritual mind, well, it's just making the spiritual body again active. then we can come above this. That yes, Kshianti Sarva Sasya Karmani, all your karma is gone then. No material desires anymore. And then Sutta Goswami said, Dristva evat manishveri. Then he says, one can see the self as master. You see the self, our Acharya says, this means the super soul. He's the real self. We are also the self, but he's the super self, and he's the master. Then we see how Krishna controls everything as a super soul. And Krishna consciousness means follow the dictations of the super soul. But that experience of seeing the super soul is also a Shakti, that's the same thing. That, yes. That, and we see that Krishna gave this experience to Narada. But we don't have to wait to come to a Shakti to see the Lord. Prabhupada said, yeah, because even in goodness, you cannot see the Lord. But if you live in a temple, you see the Lord. Arshavika, the deity is there. So live in association in the temple and you will see the Lord, he says. So that's our process. 2 points, living in association of devotees and live in the temple. So this is much more to say on this verse. I just want to go back again to the purple to see if I missed some points. Yeah. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. So if you chant Hare Krishna, follow the regulative principles, then you get out of this passion and ignorance. The result is exhibited by signs of being free from calm and lobh, lust and covetousness. But that exists in a gross form and a subtle form. The gross form, that will go away quickly, but the subtle form, how do you know that I'm still calm and lobh? That if you are still suffering in your mind, that's due to envy. False ego. False ego is cultivated by this calm and lobh. That if we suffer in the mind, it's false ego. That means serious situation. So that is to say, one must be free from the desires of sense gratification, avarice for sense gratification. The balanced mode of nature is goodness. In goodness, you see things as they are. That you understand in goodness that I'm a spirit soul. That and you understand the process, how to liberate yourself in goodness. But nobody in this world is in goodness, practically. People even don't know what it is. Everyone is in ignorance and in passion. If you are in passion and ignorance, you cannot understand that you are not this body. You can even not start beginning to understand. It's all, yeah, theoretical. And to be completely free from all tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. That's the last purification. That when you come to Nishta, goodness, then you have to work on transcending this goodness, and that comes via Ruchi, Ashakti. Ashakti, you are transcending really. Ruchi already. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is considered to be in a mode of goodness. Yeah, and Prabhupada explains, yeah, but that does not mean you can find God there in the forest. Better to live in the temple in the association of devotees. That, yes, and good. I will stop here. Any questions, please?
Thank you, Maharaj. This experience with Narada Muni is this what Prabhupada refers to as the higher taste, or is that something higher?
You mean higher taste?
When he says the higher taste, that's not this initial experience, or what does Prabhupada refers to that?
When Srila Prabhupada said higher taste means taste for spiritual activities related to Krishna. That is higher taste. A lower taste is taste for sense gratification. And these don't go together. But if you have the higher taste, and that will make you advance very quickly. Because then taste becomes attraction. So that's important in our life, in our spiritual life, to get taste. But the problem is, we chant His holy name and we don't have taste. Lord Chaitanya says the same thing. Nam namakari baudan niya sarvasaktis tatapatan niyamates mane nakala. I said, you have invested, my Lord, you have invested all your energies, all your potency in these holy names, but unfortunately I don't have a taste for it. That's what Lord Chaitanya said. But Lord Chaitanya takes the position of Bhaktarupa, a devotee in this age. So we don't have taste, and that's a problem. But then if we continue to chant, then surely, like one recovers from jaundice, Srila Prabhupada says, that if one is jaundice and one tastes sugar, it tastes bitter. But what's the cure? Continue taking sugar and surely it will become sweet again. So if we continue chanting these holy names under the instruction of the spiritual master, then surely the holy name will reveal to us its real nature if we avoid the 10 offenses against the holy name. These 10 offenses, this apparaat, seva-apparaat, naam-apparaat, that is taking the taste away. So our inner attitude must come Trinata Vishnachna Tarora Vishisna Amana Manadana Kirtanya Sadhana. You have to be tolerant, submissive, humble, that give all honor to others, tolerating everything, if Krishna sees that, then surely will reveal and we get some taste. That, but yeah, that's, of course, taste in taking prasad, that's not so difficult. that in New York, devotee said, yeah, why did you join Prabhupada? I said, Prabhupada said, because of the prasad. So that's the first attraction. But of course, yeah, then the holy name is the real sweet thing. The sweetness of the holy name will only be revealed when we become pure. But we have to go to this anartha nivritti. And then it becomes the taste will come. But there's also a taste-giving verse in the Bhagavatam. That taste-giving verse is, I think, Susrasosha Dhamsya Vastev Kadaruch Syanmat Sevyapya Punyatirtani Shivanat. But if one serves the devotees who are completely free from vice, then great service is done. And by such service, one becomes attracted to hearing the message of Vasudeva. Hearing about Krishna and serving the spiritual master. That's the formula Sutta Goswami gives to get taste. Good to meditate on. We are now hearing, that's good. We have to serve the spiritual master. That will give us the mercy and the taste. Does that help?
Yes, that's very, very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. That's what if you not, Manja, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna obeisances. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly. Is Nishtha then is when we come to the platform of goodness, liberation.
Yeah.
So then everything before that is our sadhana, bhajana kriya, shraddha, anartha nivritti. So
Yeah.
if we don't come to the platform of Nishtha Maharaj, then are we accruing piety? Is our devotional service just cleaning stage?
No.
No.
That you have bhajana kriya. Bhajana kriya is the practice of devotional service.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have two kinds of bhajana kriya. Anishtita and nishtita bhajana kriya.
Mm-hmm.
Anishtita is unsteady. That there are 6 forms of unsteadiness, which are explained. When we overcome them, one comes to nishtita bhajana kriya.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. But even nishtita bhajana kriya may not bring us to anartha nivritti.
Mm-hmm.
Anartha nivritti is attained when we perform nishtita bhajana kriya, steady devotional service, and avoid the offenses. Then anartha nivritti start to take place. And then we are purified. And from passion and ignorance, and finally only goodness remains. But of course, it's not just a linear thing. That before you come out from to Nista even, you can already have a glimpse of Ruchi, but it's very weak.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white. So it's not tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'm going from Nishta to liberation, from anartha to liberation.
Yeah. It's just Maharaj, I think I saw a quote from Guru Govinda Maharaj saying that, and we can just accrue piety by doing devotional service, and we can't go beyond that if we don't. I forget the exact quote. If I think he said, if we don't, like, no, I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact quote.
Yeah, but I think that the point here is that you must be situated in the prayojan, the goal. Is
Yeah.
Krishna.
Mm.
If you chant and your mind goes somewhere else and things in this world, and you don't connect it with Krishna, it goes very slow.
Yeah.
But if it's connected to Krishna, then it becomes very powerful. That, yeah. But many times we cannot do it because of offenses.
Yes.
And we need mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That helps?
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Good.
definitely not on any level.
Yeah.
Not even think I'm on the unknown
Yeah.
delivery. I'm still working on it. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you. I have another meeting now.
Hare
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Prabhupada.